far should employers be required to go to accommodate breastfeeding moms?
Federal protections only go so far, so are state laws needed in Pennsylvania? Here's Amanda St. Hilaire's investigation.
For so many babies, that sound means food.
I definitely wanted to give him the best that I could.
Angelina Spader's doctor strongly recommended breastfeeding.
It does have a lot of nutrients in it that formula does not.
Sorry. Keeping her milk supply going would mean pumping at work, a daycare.
I thought that they would definitely support breastfeeding.
Angelina asked to split up her existing unpaid break time to pump. The daycare's owner said no.
It was kind of like a slap in the face. I mean, don't people follow doctor's orders on any other matter? So why is this an issue?
Angelina says her boss pointed to the Affordable Care Act. Businesses with fewer than 50 employees showing an undue hardship are not required to allow unpaid breaks for breastfeeding moms.
You're basically telling me that I can't feed my child.
So Angelina called us. Our research shows 28 states and D.C. have laws protecting breastfeeding in the workplace. Pennsylvania does not. There is a push to change that, taking us to Philadelphia.
So I was surprised. How could this thing that really only women do not be a basis for discrimination?
Councilman David O. is behind a 2014 ordinance requiring all Philadelphia businesses to provide space and unpaid breaks for employees to pump. If your employer doesn't comply, you can file a complaint. Philly's Human Relations Commission investigates. Your employer may need to pay your attorney fees up to $2,000 per violation, and in severe cases, spend 90 days in jail. Business owners, you do have an out if you can prove undue hardship. Councilman O says if you have a refrigerator and rooms with doors that close, you're not likely to win that battle. But if you're running a fruit stand on the side of the road, that's a case for not being able to make accommodations. Now plans to reintroduce statewide legislation similar to Philadelphia's.
I'm quite frankly a Republican. I'm not for overregulation.
But O sees this regulation as pro-business, making us more competitive by keeping valuable female employees in our workforce.
An individual who is bright, who is energetic, who's contributed to her corporation, why would you let her go?
But that's exactly why some business advocates say we don't need breast milk pumping regulations.
Because sooner or later, market conditions are going to drive them into it.
Dave Black says it is good business to support breastfeeding employees, but
we have a tendency today to just, we're going to fix everything by legislation. We're going to create a law, and this is going to fix everything.
Tough for employers who say they want to accommodate, but can't.
So it could be the physical layout of the business, the type of business it is, the clientele of the business.
Black says adding another regulation to Pennsylvania businesses could cost you.
Sometimes it just drives up the cost of goods or services that are being provided by the business. Sometimes they're so onerous that they could put a business out of business.
First, there is kind of this reaction, this almost resistance. Oh no, we can't do that. You know, that's too difficult, that's too expensive.
Katya Pigor helps employers make breastfeeding accommodations. She says there is a return on investment, pointing to studies showing more breastfeeding would save billions a year in health care, result in fewer sick days for baby and mom, increase female employee productivity, and drive down the U.S. infant mortality rate, which is much higher than other developed countries.
Why would you be against health benefits that a baby can have, right? I think it's all about the children.
The argument here is it's a bigger cost if, while waiting for the market to sort this out, women must choose between breastfeeding and their jobs.
Why would you punish a woman and turn this into a negative for her, that she decides to have children?
Angelina no longer works at that daycare, but she says she'll never regret putting up a fight for her job and her son.
He's healthy, so that's what I'm proud of, is making him healthy.
Every person we spoke to for this story agrees it's good for employers to allow women to pump breast milk in the workplace. There's just disagreement about whether the culture around that will develop naturally and take its course, or whether it will take state regulation to foster that culture. Either way, both sides of the debate say this is an issue we need to be talking about. Working for you, Amanda St. Hilaire, ABC 27 News.
So we're talking about it. There's so much more to the story. We're continuing the conversation on ABC27.com. We have extended interviews and documents explaining why the federal protections for pumping in the workplace don't apply to every woman, the concerns businesses have about enforcement of potential pumping regulations, and the role men play when we talk about all this. Please email your questions and comments to news@abc27.com. We'll discuss them in the next episode of our podcast on Deadline, which is on Tuesday.